Okay, so welcome back to my new video on S3 buckets. Okay, so let's check the list of our buckets that we started with in our last videos. So I'm going to check LS YouTube as well as YouTube 2. Okay, so there's no file in the elbow 2, but we have a file in elbow, YouTube elbow. Okay, so there are cases where we want to put access control on our files. Okay, so once we copy the file over, we want to make sure that the files have certain permissions like private, public, read and write. We want to make it read and write, or we just want to make it read only. Okay, so there are cases where we want to make those files just read only or write only, or read and write. We can make it private and public. Okay, so let's just do one example. So how do you do this? Say AWS S3, we want to copy market.csv over to YouTube elbow 2, and then we want to pass in the access control list. So the keyword here is what? ACL -ACL, and then we want to make this file public read -write. Okay, so if we want to make it just public, we just remove that. If we want to make it private, we make it private just like that. If we want to make it public read only, we make it public read. Okay, but in our case, we want to make it public read and write. Okay, so basically this is how you set access control list whilst you are copying objects from your local file system to a remote file system like S3 bucket. Okay, so let me enter. Okay, see, so it's been copied over with this access control list on the file. Okay, so basically that is what you do. So there are cases where we want to sync files to our buckets. Okay, so because we don't want to recursively copy the files each time there's a new file in our local file system, we want to sync those files to our S3 bucket without copying all the files over. Okay, so let me demonstrate to you what I mean by that. You see, these are all the files that I currently have. Okay, so let me recursively copy it first. S3 copy dot. I want to recursively copy all the files to elbow 2. Okay. Okay, so all the files are copied over. So let me clear the screen. Okay, so these are all the files that have been copied over. So I want to create a new file in my local working directory. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say echo new file and then pipe it to new file.txt. Okay, so if you can see, this is the new file. But because I want to sync this file, I just don't want to copy it. I just want to sync this working directory, and then S3 command will figure it out which ones that are already on my S3 bucket. So because this is a new file, it's just going to copy this new file to my S3 bucket only without copying everything. Okay, so this is the command, S3 sync current working directory, and then I specify which bucket I want to sync the new file to. I'm going to say elbow 2. Okay, so I'm going to enter. You see, it detected that new file is the only file that is new. All the rest are already existing on my bucket. So usually when you create new files in your working directory, you don't want to recursively copy everything all the time. You want to use the sync, okay, so that it detects the new files that were created and uploads them to your S3 bucket. So that is what the sync command is used for. It also comes with exclude, include, and things like that. So you can research on it. So the last thing that I'm going to talk about is you can also set S3 bucket as website, but I'm not going to talk about that. You can research on it, how to do that, but the command is very simple, S3, and then you pass in website. That is the command, and then you specify your bucket as well as your index file as well as your error document. So that is how you work with this command. So you can just type help, and then it gives you help on how to set a website configuration for a bucket. Okay, so you can search on that. Let me clear the screen. And then there's a cases where you want to pre-assign URL of S3 object for temporary access. Okay, so let's say I want to create a new file and then share that link with a friend or something. I can decide to put a time limit on it or expiration date on the URL so that it can only last for, let's say, 30 seconds, 5 minutes, 1 year, things like that, 1 month, 30 days, whatever you set you prefer. Okay, so you use the command AWS S3 pre-sign, and then I'm going to specify the S3 bucket YouTube hyphen elbow 2, and then the file is a new file .txt. I want it to expires in 60 seconds. Okay, so once I do this and then I give this URL to anybody, they can access this in the next 60 seconds, else the file URL is going to expire. Okay, they cannot access it any longer. Okay, so that is what you can pre-assign to files in your S3 bucket. Okay, so let's do this. Okay, so as you can see, it returns some bunch of information. Okay, the access key and then a signature, and then it expires in this time. Okay, so basically that is it. By the time I upload this video, this access key is going to be deleted, so don't try using it because it's not going to work again. And the last command that I'm going to look at is human readable format for our S3 bucket. Okay, so let's look at the YouTube S3 bucket. S3 we want to list whatever is in YouTube elbow 2. We want to list every single thing recursively. And then we want to pass in human readable. And then we want a summary to summarize. So this command will give us the size of the file and some details about the file. Okay, about the files in our S3 bucket. Okay, so I'm going to pass in the S3 : //. Okay, I'm going to run this. So as you can see, the total object is 9. The total size is 4.3 megabyte. And the size for each of the files, you can see the size is kilobyte, megabyte, kilobyte, and bytes. Okay. So passing in this human readable and summarize, it gives you a lot of information about the size of your file, the sizes of your files, as well as the number of objects, and then the total size of objects in your S3 bucket, and then the time that each of them was created. Okay. And lastly, last but not the least, let me clear the screen. There's another object called S3API. We want to list all the objects in YouTube -elbow 2. Okay, we want to list all the objects in the bucket. Okay, in this bucket. And this is going to return a JSON object for us. Okay, so let's enter. Okay, good. So as you can see, it returned this JSON object, and then it has a key, the last modifier, the tag, the class, display name, and some ID. Okay, so the key is what the name of the file. Key is name of the file. And then the last time it was modified, the storage class is standard and some ID. So you see the key for this one is demo/project.zip. And yeah, and you see the key for this object is market.csv. So basically, this is another way to read more information about your files in your S3 bucket. So yeah, so basically, I think that is all for this tutorial on S3 buckets. So if you like this video, don't forget to like and share and subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.